A fine international bunch we've got going on. Love it. And it is nearly the top of the hour. We are expecting as many as 18 colleagues. And yes.
Nevada, Iowa.
Oh, Nevada, Iowa. Imagine. And Stanwood, Michigan. Angie, hello, Angie, and welcome. And so, again in chat. And Saskatchewan. Well, welcome. Hello. And in chat, you will see this set of Google Slides. Those of you who have been here for a moment, keep seeing it. But those who are joining later, the chat is new and refreshed, and they won't have seen what happened before they arrived. Hence the multiple editions of this. But you'll ideally, if you can open that up and find yourself some place on it where you can begin introducing yourself to others. We have as many as 20 of us total today, including Ken and me. And so it is now the top of the hour. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining the Practitioners Playground, Session 1. Our goal, intention is to meet each last Friday. So it depends on how far east or west you are. It tends to be a Friday where we set this and intended it. The last Friday of each month for as many as 6 months is our intention. So we hope that you're joining us for the longer journey. And today we have a particular set of things that we'd like to work on together. And then there'll be more opportunity to collaborate on setting the agenda as we go forward, and we know who's present, who wants to know this and who wants to know that, and who wants to work on what. Please feel free. I apologize in advance. I love MI so much. I can get very enthusiastic and begin speaking too quickly or too much. So please feel free to give me some feedback and invite me to change the way I'm talking. If you don't mind, and so what we have here is perhaps some colleagues who are not able to join for the first session, but would like to participate by seeing the recording of this session. And I just want to invite you, if you have any concerns about me recording this session, so that others may view it and then join us in subsequent sessions, please do let me know now. You're also welcome to rename yourself for whatever reason you would like, and or to not be on camera if it's your preference.
I'll just chime in here a bit. My name is Ken Craybill. I'm one of your co-hosts coming to you from Seattle, Washington. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's wonderful to have a global group of folks here. And of course, MI is very much a global phenomenon. Just a few words. We probably could call this Allie's playground because so much of the ideas here are coming from her. And so I'm so grateful for that. We call it a playground because we really want it to be fun and playful. We think that learning MI is best done when we're also enjoying it. So I hope you wore the appropriate play clothes for the weather and are ready to enter into this. We could also call it a play space. We could call it a learning circle, a community of practice. Lots of terms that you've all heard that really speak to a group of people coming together and intentionally not only talking about, but actually putting into practice and going deeper with our skills in MI in this case. And so whatever you wish to call this, we're delighted you're here. And as you know, we will be meeting on a monthly basis, as Allie was saying, and on those last Fridays, if it's Friday where you are.
Yes.
I want to just say up top too a few things. One is we're making an assumption that you come with a pretty reasonably substantial knowledge of MI and practice, but certainly no one's expected to be, have full expertise and master everything. That's why we're here, so we can all learn. And so, whatever your level of knowledge, awareness, and degree of training you've had in MI, we welcome you. I would say if you feel like there are things being presented that aren't familiar to you or you're feeling a little stuck, just feel free to contact Ali or myself privately, or just bring it up in the room and say, I'm not sure what you're talking about here. That's perfectly fine. Um, we'll go for an hour and a half each session, and we will be trying different playground equipment, if you will, on the sessions. So bear with us if there's one approach that we take that you really like, that's great. And if you're less kind of fond of it, we will likely try something else anyway the next time around. We also invite very much your ideas, your feedback, to make this as playful as possible, as interesting as possible. So we want this to be an exchange of ideas, a true partnering together to learn together. So I will stop there. The only thing I'll say is if you are having difficulty accessing the Google Doc, you do have to minimize your screen on this Zoom call in order to go behind the screen and find that doc. So if you haven't yet, please introduce yourself, and I'll pass it on to you now, Ali, for taking us further.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, everyone, and welcome. And I hope that you have had an opportunity to access the Google Slides. We'll be using them in our smaller group activities today in particular. So they're going to end up being helpful. And if you personally cannot access them, and that's okay, chances are someone in your breakout room will be able to. And then that person might be able to share the screen so that you can all see together. So we'll make our goal is to make sure that our experience is as collaborative, inclusive, and accessible as possible. And we'll make aims to reach and secure that for each and every one of us. And again, I haven't received any comments that anyone is uncomfortable with recording. And if you're okay with it and don't want to be on camera, that's fine too. You can turn on your camera when you go to breakout and work together, that's fine. Or if you wish to change your name on the screen, that's fine too. And again, the only reason to record this is just in the event that some of our participants can't make it online today and then are going to be accessing it later. And then joining us for subsequent sessions. So if it's all right with you, I will go ahead and start the recording and invite us to get started with our material for today. I've got, certainly you can scroll through the introduction grids. And if you would, one of the things that in the introduction grid invites you to do is consider some of your own personal intentions that you might have for our work together today. So we're going to start with the intentions slide. And if you, hopefully, we're going to present rather than share. Please do someone give me a thumbs up or a verbal once this starts to show for you. It says loading. There's internet gremlins are moving slowly today all over the world. Hopefully it's going to start showing. And if it doesn't, I've got to swap screen share with Ken so that he can share with us. Do we have some intentions showing now? Yes? I hope? All righty, goody. If you haven't had an opportunity to grab for yourself an intention for today, and invite you to hold on to one of those as we get started. We started out, those of us who joined a bit early or were able to participate, so our agenda will appear with a to-do, doing, and done. And in our done column, ideally, is our introduction grid or virtual mingle, setting of our intentions. And now our task would be to share ideas around the engaging process. And invite you in small group charting to identify the elements that you find are true in your own practice as a helper, as a human being. What does it mean to engage? We invite you to do that in just a moment. And then, of course, our agenda has some items still to do. working through a challenging example, and then a personal reflection time. So each time we see this agenda slide, it'll show us where we've been, where we are, and where we still might go together.
And Ali, if I may, I trust that you read the materials that introduce the course, but just so we're all on the same page, we've decided to really center the whole playground experience around the 4 processes. And within each process, to really dive deeper and understand, what it is that not only it is, and what kinds of ways that we can approach it, particularly with people who might present with more challenging circumstances and typically trauma in the background, that kind of thing. So we're going to try to make this an experience where it's challenging at a lot of different levels. But all of that to say is that in the ensuing playground sessions, we will go through the various processes, and then the 5th time we meet will be more of a kind of bringing it all together. So just to set that context.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So ideally, there is an intention that was hidden behind this. Excuse me. Hello. Talk about engaging. I've got a vicious animal that wants to be fed and wants to be engaged. We'll worry about that in a minute. Okay. So moving ahead then, we're going to invite you to consider these questions and these ideas and share with one another in breakout in just a moment. Excuse me. Hang on a second. I'm sorry. It might help if I just hold him at least, and I apologize. Hungry animal. Invite you to consider these questions together and come up with some ideas. What are some essentials for engaging those we serve? What are some challenges for the engaging process? And what will you do to help those you serve feel engaged? What we thought we could do is have as many as, say, 3 breakout rooms, really 4, because what we're going to invite you to do is keep some of yourselves in the main room with us. And in part, that is to, if you don't mind, make sure that we have some activity that's being recorded for those who aren't joining us, but who can participate along as though they were. So what we'll see once we, hold on a second. I'm just gonna, right. One thing that ideally we're going to see in your breakouts is how you're working through these items together. Each room will have its own. I just want to, on a second, minimize the slide handout for just a moment, because we're going to be inviting you now to join. So 3 groups then, and then invite some of you to stay back, if you will. For example, room 1, if we could invite, let's see, if we could invite Bree and Domingo to stay back. If we could invite Angie and Dwayne to please stay back in the main room. And then if we could invite Jamal and Bobby, if that's okay. When you receive your invitations to go to breakout, please do not accept them. I'm going to invite you to stay in the main room. And in the main room, those that are staying back, we're going to be called ourselves room 4. The other rooms are going to be 1 through 3, and you have a slide to work together with your teammates. I'm going to ask you to work together for about 15 minutes, and we'll let you know when as time is passing. I invite you to work together and come up with some responses as good, helpful colleagues about engaging. What questions do you have before we get started?
I will just add, please have someone record your responses, or at least most of them, because we will be then taking a look at each other's responses from different people's rooms. So
absolutely,
please do that. And
absolutely, the great benefit of of a virtual workshop as well as a Google slide deck is then after we have each inked our responses, thinking for ourselves and then typing them together as colleagues, what we can do is take a gallery walk and see the great ideas that other teams have had and decide what we like out of all of those wonderful ideas. Fair enough? Okay. What other questions, if any, do we have? Okay. So we'll invite you to come back in about 15 minutes and continue on, some of us in the main room and the others in breakout, and got some space to get this. Okay, thanks everyone.
Hi, everyone. I don't know, does someone else pop in to tell us what to do, or do we just go ahead?
I'm not sure either. Are you Leah too?
I'm Leah too. Nice to
I'm Leah too. Nice to meet you.
At least we spell them different, so.
Right? Exactly. See what we're supposed to discuss.
So I assume when they said we should record, like, is that on the slide here? Like, it looks like there's a room 3 slide that we can write directly on in the Google thing. Is that what?
I'm not sure. I don't see the Google thing anymore.
Well, I can type into the shared one here if you guys want me to record what we say.
Sure.
So the first question she has here on the slide is, what are some essentials for engaging those we serve?
Building rapport.
Building rapport.
Active listening skills.
Anything else?
Making it collaborative.
I find humor. I know that making them feel more comfortable would be some humor. Is there any others for that one, or do we want to go to the next? You can always come back to if you think of something. Are you guys able to see what I'm typing? Anybody? Okay. Okay. What are some challenges for the engaging process?
Them not trusting us.
I think when people who aren't very talkative, like when your client is someone who's very, very quiet, I always find that one's a tough one. I talk a lot.
Can you read the question one more time too, please?
So what are some challenges for the engaging process? Isn't that the truth? It's so much easier for them to like hang up or be like, oh, I can't take your call right now. We want to move to the next, and we can always come back if we. So what will you do to help those you serve feel engaged?
I think one thing I think one thing that's important is making sure that their needs are being heard, so that the goals that are being set up with the client is in line with what they're wanting, not just what we're wanting for them.
I think practicing is mine. Like, I just need to keep practicing. If I try not to fall into my old ways when I have a difficult client, that's usually when you find you fall off, right? It's like, this one's hard. Mm-hmm.
Maybe making a safe space, making them feel like it's safe.
Perfect. Any others that you guys can think of? So what will you do to help those you serve feel engaged?
Transparency on my part, to help build that rapport and help build that trust for them.
Okay, so we have that column almost full. The other two, we could still have some space if you guys have other ideas that came to you. So what are some challenges for the engaging process, or what are some essentials for engaging those we serve?
I was thinking a challenge that we sometimes have is that they don't want to be there.
What work do you do?
We do mental health, but we do a lot of DHS. So they're brought there by the courts, and substance abuse. So
I'm curious if maybe we can go around, if everyone's comfortable, of what they, what field they work in.
It's a great idea.
I know Elaine and I both work in homeless services, but we also work with people experiencing mental illness. So kind of combining those two worlds together. So they both have their own challenges.
right.
I'm a recovery coach, so I work with individuals that live with substance use disorder.
I'm a community dietitian, so I work in chronic disease management in Saskatchewan.
My name's Chris. I work in forensic with forensic fact services and competency restoration.
So we have like a nice wide variety of people, hey?
Right? Interesting.
And I guess I'm just wondering, where are you guys at with your training in MI, or has everyone had a lot, or?
I think I'm fairly
have-
new to it. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. So the Recovery Coach Academy training includes 16 hours of MI. And I've done a few like CEUs. But this is probably going to be like the most comprehensive beyond my like original training.
Yeah, I just did an all-day training. I can't even tell you what it was. I was up visiting my mom, but I don't think I'm very good at it, so I could continue training on it. I just want to tell them what to do. It's just like your kids, you know what's best for them.
And I think I'm still learning right now. I've gone through a few different trainings, but it still hasn't quite clicked yet because I feel like, at least for me, I like to really understand something so that then I can put it into practice. And so it's like I'm just gonna have to continue to like get it in until it's a little bit more memorized and comes a bit more naturally.
Yes. I worked part time with the treatment center, but before I worked in mental health, I worked in substance abuse treatment, and I mean we used a lot of motivational interviewing and substance abuse treatment, residential treatment, and then I think through all my different levels of education, I've always had to take at least one in my course. But I've seen people that actually that's all they do is motivational interviewing, and I'm far from that level. I have an understanding, and it's like sitting down and having a conversation and being positive to find out somebody wants to do and working with them towards it. But when I see somebody that's fluent with it, I'm
Yeah.
far from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watch those videos of some of them and I think, oh my gosh, how awesome would it be to be able to do that, right?
A car salesman.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't want to be unnatural when I'm talking to someone. I like that authentic factor. Like, when you try to connect with someone. And so when I try to think of motivational interviewing, I don't want to be like, well, I want it to flow and be natural. while we're waiting too, I'm curious if you guys are open to saying it, where you guys are all working and from. Like I'm Elaine and I both are working in San Diego.
I work in Plymouth County, Massachusetts.
I live in Dallas.
Oh. I was just gonna say I'm way up north. I'm in Saskatchewan, Canada. So,
Ooh.
but we're all working from home right now because of COVID. We've been home since March. So,
Yeah.
I'm from Des Moines, Iowa,
Oh, nice.
and we do telehealth and we do in person now. We just got our first shots like the last 3 weeks.
Oh, for the vaccine.
Mhm.
Yeah, us too.
have ours yet. We're hoping soon.
And where were you saying you're from, Chris?
Oh, Dallas.
Oh, nice. Elaine, I know you were gone. We were just saying where we're all working from. So I just said we're in San Diego. Oh yeah, that'd be interesting.
I do both.
Yeah.
There's our big plexiglass.
Oh,
So
Well, I actually do like post overdose outreach visits. So I'm in the field, going to people's homes, trying to stay outside as much as possible. But then I do continued case management usually via the phone. It's not really telehealth, I guess, but
is that post overdose for people that are already in your clinic or just anybody?
it's anyone in Plymouth County. Well, anyone who resides in Plymouth County.
Well, that's pretty cool.
So it's a large organization.
Wow, good for you.
Thank you.
do you guys have the thing that says breakout rooms?
Guessing we'll be bumped out.
Bye.
Yeah,
Thanks, Leah.
it's saved.
Bye.
Finding a way to connect across languages and cultures. Beautiful, beautiful.
So what do I need to do with this, Allie, now that I've got all this? Do I hit share or anything, or what do I do so that we don't lose this?
It's perfect. Actually, because it's in the cloud, it has been captured and now it's going to be part of the gallery walk. Thank you, Dwayne, for taking our notes.
Okay, so I don't need to do anything else.
Perfect. No,
That was easier than I thought.
you did a great job.
Thank you.
Good job, team, with all the insights. And so, and then if you don't mind, if you just exit share, then we can.
How do I exit it on the share button itself? What do I?
Perfect. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Well, it's trying to share again.
Okay. Yeah. If you just exit the share screen, I'm sorry.
Oh, there, I found it. Your screen sharing, new share. I want to exit. Stop share. There's the I want.
Oh, there's that. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm used to the positive statement instead of like, stop that, stop share. Beautiful work. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for talking together in your teams. Let's just, and so one of the beautiful things about the Google Slides now is, and when we think about slide 14 that we're moving on to, invites us to take a stroll now, a gallery walk, and view the other room's work. You had come up with some beautiful insights on your own together as teams, and now you get to walk around and see what others were up to during that 15 minutes. you can grab one of the stars that are hanging around and pull them. You can pull and drag these elements and highlight anything that came, either one of your own ideas or an idea that came from one of the other rooms, if you like. You're more than welcome to. What stood out to you? What do you personally want to remember? So let's just take a couple of minutes for a gallery walk. And please, I'm hoping that the little hamsters in my computer working. There you go. So one thing we can do then is go roam around and see what others were doing. And you can grab one of the stars from up here, and there's an idea you particularly like, move it around and highlight it for yourself, or just enjoy the work that others did in the other room. So room 1 and 2 and 3. And then room 4 served, the main room served as room 4. We'll just take a couple minutes to stroll around. And if you want to add more stars or shapes, that particular slide runs out, you can always go up to the toolbar and insert and add more. And if you prefer and you don't want to be moving stars around, or you just feel like exclaiming about some of the work that you're seeing, just feel free to call out some of the ideas that are appealing to you right now. We're seeing some stars being moved around. As we're gallery walking. Some lovely ideas here. So essentials for engaging, challenges, and what will we do? What do we do? What will we do to more successfully engage with others? Any comments, ideas that you want to voice before we move forward? Ken, any thoughts?
All right, I was muted. Yeah, I think we could allow just a few more minutes to browse around before we move on. And I was part of group 1, and we had a really wonderful conversation. So let's just create a little space yet for more time.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm.
I'd be happy to take a first run at that. I think many of us work with people who have considerable trauma in their lives, especially early childhood trauma. And I believe that safe space obviously means something different to everybody, different people. But I think what we can do is try to do everything we can as practitioners to create a sense of safety, meaning physically, and that includes privacy. It includes ensuring that the person who might feel kind of paranoid or fearful has an easy access to the doorway to leave. But I think it's emotional safe space and psychological safe space. And part of that is explaining our role here, explaining what the expectations, if it's a program, what those are, and ensuring they can be clarified. But I was in a webinar yesterday, and I think it goes beyond safe space. And I'm going to just introduce an idea here that not only when we're talking about creating safety, which feels like making sure the person's comfortable, but we're also creating a space where people can feel willing and able to to take some chances. And so, shall we call it liberating space?
Mm.
And this particularly came in the context of of listening to Black African American women talking about their own experience in recovery and resilience, and how they really don't need just safety. They need the space where they can actually be seen and valued for their potential and who they are. So it's a great question, and one that has a much longer answer than what I'm offering here, but those are some thoughts. So. Yeah, thank you. What would you add, Allie?
Yeah, thank you for that. Do we have others who wish to speak to that?
We have a large transgender group or population. And so we actually have safe space stickers because they don't always feel safe in many, many places. So.
Of course. Yeah. It sort of almost feels like a precondition to, the chance to go anywhere together. And it also may be the first time that person has experienced. Certainly people who are judged or humiliated cannot possibly, feel safe. There may be a lot of reasons that people come in not feeling safe. I'm remembering in one of the direct services program that I worked in some years ago, one of the people that we served, she had lived on the streets most of her life, and she came into treatment. And part of the treatment program the funding that she entered in on, had this fantastic therapy that was available to her. And every other person in the facility who did not have access to that funding desperately wanted that therapy resource, and it's just a very prized thing in the facility. But every time she walked into the therapy room, she would promptly fall asleep. And so some people had some ideas around, oh, well, she's avoiding those difficult things and she really needs to stay awake and talk about what's going on and all this. And when asked, what is it, what's going on? She said, I've never once in my life felt safe. And I don't yet feel safe here on the street. I had to keep one eye open at all times. And even here, sleeping in the facility, I don't quite yet feel safe. And I still have one eye open. This is the first place I have ever felt safe. And so she slept through the next 3 or 4 sessions. And once she felt safe in the facility, then she could begin making use of the talk time in the therapy. But it was literally the first experience she had had in her life of, a sense of safety. So they're just, we never know, we may never know really what it's going to be for that person. And I know if those opportunities arrive, I think people will gravitate towards them.
I discovered one time that I was perceived as safe. I was working in a large shelter, and I was perceived as safe because somebody told me they'd been watching me for months, and that I actually used not just the staff bathroom, but sometimes I also used the other bathroom for clients. And because I did that, he decided that I was good enough to talk to. So we don't ever know for sure.
You're on the same level.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Reminds me, I worked in the school for a while in one of my previous jobs, and just having a variety of fidget toys, stress balls, door always open as the kids were going by for recess. And so the kids would, just drop in, hi, Mr. Cameron, and, fiddle with a few of the toys on their way out. So it just created a safe environment so that then when they did need some of my counseling services, it was the room was very warm and welcoming and kid friendly for them. It wasn't a typical counseling kind of office the way I had in other atmospheres, right? So adjusting to the environment so that it's warm and engaging.
Absolutely. Inviting, opening, welcoming, where people can come to a sense that they would be accepted there.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Okay. And so because if you have access to these, these slides, they now belong in your own Google Drive, and you can roam around them at your leisure. So if anything, if you wanted to jot down, maybe you have something to write on and something to write with, if you want to take just 60 seconds now to write down anything for yourself, ideas and learnings, inspirations, insights that you've had from these first activities that we've tried together. And if you've got that piece of paper, electronic notebook, pens, pencils, whatever you've got, you might keep that handy. There might be other things you'll end up adding to the list as a result of your conversations with your partners and colleagues. So on our agenda, we've moved another item to our done column, and now we have a new doing and still a to do. So our next doing is working through perhaps a challenging example. And we're going to form breakout rooms in just one moment. And as we're thinking about all that, so now we know that each room will have a slide to place resources that you come up with, insights that you come up with together. And what I'm going to do, I want to make sure that this is in share mode before I go putting it into the chat box and then you can't open it. Let me just take a little look-see to make sure that the document, this is not something that's in the Google Slides themselves, but a separate document. And I'm going to end up screen sharing it in just a moment. Jump back here, just moving windows around. We have now another document that is not a Google slide deck, but an actual Google document. You're welcome to open it up if you care to. And as soon as all the windows get shifted around, I'll go ahead and screen share it, copied it and put it in chat for you. And this is a description of a person we're going to imagine serving together. I'm gonna, hopefully, when I screen share, it's gonna show up. Please let me know if you can see something, a picture of a woman, as well as practitioners playground engaging. We're gonna imagine that for this next activity that we're serving a person named Pamela, who's 50 years old and has spent most of her adult years living on the streets, in shelters or in jail, sometimes taken into custody for things like aggressive panhandling. She sometimes attends 12-step meetings held at a church where she sometimes receives meals. She has some things that she enjoys about those 12-step meetings. She can go when the shelters close, it's warm and dry, they serve hot coffee. And it's actually the 12-step meeting happens in the day before the public library opens. She really loves the library. She's an avid reader and appreciates the internet access they have there. She's left a brief jail stay. She learns of a short-term residential treatment program. It's an option specifically funded for those living on the street with possible substance use challenges. She's decided she's going to give it a try. Program has many things available, individual and group therapy, vocational, educational, and so on, and provides the resident a bed and all meals for up to 6 months. On her first day at the program, it was a little rough. The counselor on duty told Pamela she needed to take a shower and change her street clothes and put on some clean ones issued by the facility. Counselor also told Pamela she needs to sit down with a primary counselor, and that's going to be you. the next day. And at minimum, complete a substance use treatment plan as part of a mandated condition of the funding. She declines the shower, the clean clothes. She has trouble sleeping in the facility her first night. And she told others that she does not use drugs and does not want to create a substance use treatment plan. And now you were not there that day, and you walk in and are now learning all of this.
Just gonna
And
add,
go ahead.
just gonna add one detail here.
Please.
Let's make an assumption that this is not an abstinence-only program, that they actually do embrace harm reduction, so that it's not an expectation that she has to be free and clear of all drug use. Okay.
So any plan is not around abstinence, but it could include.
It could include that. Yeah.
It could include. And so, of course, you weren't there when she had these difficult exchanges with staff. And now it's Monday, and here you are. And okay. So each breakout room then has space to use sticky notes, bring them over, sources for engaging Pamela. You might look to values, strengths, and skills. You might also identify other categories of ways to engage. And you might also, in this lower right column, identify any challenges in particular that you imagine addressing with her. So if you would, we're going to invite you now to breakout rooms. And so we're going to recreate our rooms with 3 rooms once again. And if we could ask to stay in the main room this time, if we could ask Jane to stay, Jane would have been assigned to room 1, Jane Groves, if she would stay in room 1. If Megan would stay in room 1, and if, I'm sorry, in the main room, I'm sorry, Jane, Megan, Elaine, Chris, Jude, and Ken. And what might happen in the main room is Ken may then jump into the another room, but for now we'll keep Ken. And also Laura, please.
How long for this?
Let's take 15 minutes again.
Okay.
Sounds good? Any questions? All right, if no questions, 15 minutes, away we go. And so main room colleagues, we will now be room 4 because we've got rooms 1, 2, and 3 all working on their own. Yeah. And Ken, you're welcome to stay in this room if you want, and I'll go off to another breakout or whatever you prefer.
I like these people.
Yeah, I thought you might. Okay. Great. All right. Would anyone care to share their screen and be our scribe? How would you like to operate with our slide?
Or if we all open it independently and somebody
can.
agrees to be the scribe, yeah.
There's that too. You can do that too.
Yeah.
Last time the last time we had in the main room, we just had some who weren't able to access the slide and so couldn't see what was happening. Hence, we had a screen share. Carry on.
Are there any of you who cannot access the Google Docs independently? Raise your hand if you.
Right. Just doing our best to be inclusive and accessible.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next question is, would one of you be willing to just jot down ideas? Great. We'll increase your pay as a result. So, yeah.
Well, there's an idea.
So I
We will be room 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are you going to stay with us, Allie, or are you going to?
And for just a moment, I will. I'll go on mute for just one moment. Yeah.
Okay. And
it's always interesting when one of the breakout rooms like captures another slide. It's like, hey, who's writing on our slide? It's kind of fun too.
So I trust that you all have easy access to the story, the Pamela story. You heard it, but now you can go back and listen to it. So yeah, why don't we just go ahead and start talking about, well, let's see, where'd she go? The stick figure. I'm trying to find her.
I couldn't find that either. That's what I was looking for.
Ah. Does everybody have the slides basically accessible other than Laura?
I think you're looking at slide 20.
Okay.
I have the story, but I don't see the stick figure.
Yeah, it requires different windows, but if you have access or did have access to the slideshow, we're on 20 now. And the stick figure, you don't have to see the stick figure, but the first question is, what are her values, strengths, and skills? So let's just take some turns and talk about that briefly.
And I'm sharing the screen just in case.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. Yep. She's able to bounce back, huh?
Yeah. She's also curious because she likes reading. She likes what's in books.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to keep up with what's happening.
Mm-hmm. I'm feeling resourceful too.
Mhm.
As one of the strengths and skills.
Very. She also she knows what she wants
Mm-hmm.
and what she doesn't want. She's clear-headed.
Even determined, perhaps, in that
Determined.
it's not easy
But
to
also, yeah.
to do this, day in, day out, and but she's determined to stay alive and get her basic needs met. Maybe.
And she knows what her boundaries are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If we try to go a little bit deeper and further, what other strengths might you see? Cool things about her.
Not altering her her perception of reality with any kind of she's not medicating herself.
Yep.
She really doesn't want to be told what to do. She knows her own mind.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And she's savvy. She knows how to access the things that she needs.
I think one thing we can think about too is we don't know her backstory except that she's been homeless for a long time, but I wonder if we might even make some guesses, in our own minds about what else might be going on that lies behind these values, strengths, and skills.
She's educated. She's had education.
Mm-hmm. She seems to value her privacy,
Mhm.
in that we don't have a sense that she's linked closely with anyone, which also makes me wonder if privacy is also kind of a perceived need because she doesn't easily trust other people
Mhm.
due to things that have happened in the past. Again, I'm just sort of
Mhm.
taking this a bit beyond here.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And
You feel that she's
if there are other categories you want to add too, like in the, so it says what else, you can rename that field. I'm sorry, Jane, you were saying.
I was just going to say, you feel that she's had good experiences in her times, even though she's been homeless for such a long time, that she's had good experiences to, give her the skills that she's got.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, my mind oftentimes for people in this kind of experience goes to trauma, especially early childhood trauma, and oftentimes people become reclusive if they can't trust others readily, or if they've had to trust somebody who is inherently untrustworthy or tried to exploit them. And so I think there's always that two-edged sword, if that's the right metaphor for, people like privacy, but sometimes that means they can't trust other people. So
I was
it's
thinking
that.
about people being, guarded, just have, deep
Mhm.
justifications for, and maybe, and also partly, reluctance to adhere to requests that feel intrusive or uh, dangerous or risky in some way.
Mhm. Allie,
So
what other
protective or cautious, I was thinking too,
Ellie, any thoughts about other categories that might go into what else, or anybody for that
Well,
matter? What else might we
yeah.
look at? Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. We can sort of project or speculate about experiences, either um, you know, positive or things to be a little tread a little lightly around. Um, you can also start to identify. There might be some challenges too, things that are maybe also values, strengths, capacities, life experiences that are sources for engaging may also be sources of challenges. Yeah. And I think we have, it looks like we might have about 8 minutes left, I think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. So that church, for example, had provided her, a space to get warm and dry, get coffee before the library opens. So she's obviously very organized with her time. But it's also a way of, I mean, it's pro-social, productive, may provide a sense of safety and security. Yeah.
Allie, is the goal that you're wanting us to do is just expand our thinking about this particular example so that we have more opportunities of how to utilize the
Sure.
engagement?
Yeah, and it's a little bit about putting a pause on meeting someone for the first time. We know a little bit about them. We may have some assumptions about how a person has been living, and just think those things through a little bit more intentionally. Sometimes we can be tempted as practitioners to launch into a conversation and sort of cast about how to engage. And here we're just coming into a brief exchange that we're going to manufacture with a Pamela that comes from a little bit more intentionality. Where are areas we might want to tread? What sort of might be under the surface that we might want to explore? Just some.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And at the same time, I think it might be interesting for us to explore here what we imagine some of her hopes might be, even though she's kind of stuck in that mode. But as we think about engaging and not only addressing survival needs, I think it would be interesting to ask about, because this program offers certain things. So she might hope for what, do you think?
Jane brought up that she was educated and curious, and we have, maybe access to some educational things. She enjoys the internet. She likes looking things up. She's an avid reader, and we know that about her. And so it could be, we don't know that yet, but one of her hopes could be.
I wonder about her and community. I mean, she's obviously, for whatever reason, kept herself away from community other than getting what she needs physically. And that may be trauma, or it may have been social circumstances that led her there. But I wonder if, feeling part of community might become one of her aspirations, even if it isn't right now.
Kind of goes along with that saying that some of you heard, that the opposite of addiction is connection.
Yeah, connectedness. Connectedness.
And Jane, as you say that, it's sort of like, I agree with you. And at the same time, I see her lingering on the edges of certain communities, like the AA meeting, and the library probably has a community. I mean, it's kind of a both and.
She doesn't want
right?
it just now.
Yeah.
She doesn't want it just now. But I just wonder if there's been enough, clearly she's felt rejected by whatever she had before. But I wonder if that's something that might come to be very important.
And
it might be her answer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. She may have a community on the street to some extent as well.
Yeah.
She may not have one yet one night in the treatment center, but I'll be closing the rooms in just 1 minute. So we'll see everybody being vacuumed back in just a moment. Or come willingly. I don't know, either way.
I mean, I would think she's hoping for potentially having a safe, dry, affordable, warm, predictable place to live, right? And I can also imagine that she feels like she's not deserving of that. So yeah.
And may have some legitimate fears about participating, what's being asked, or apprehensions about what's being required that may or may not match with her hopes of what this experience was. We don't always know what we're signing up for. We may have hopes that are different than the reality presents itself. Thank you, everybody, for participating. And we'll start to see our other colleagues come in just a moment. Do it. Yes. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for doing your beautiful work in your groups. There were so many excellent insights. Clearly some good conversations were happening. for you. So I'm just curious, once again, we have an opportunity to do a bit of a gallery walk, stroll around, see what insights other teams have come up with. And then the next step for that is, as you're doing your gallery walk, you're looking at the sources for engaging, any challenges, maybe additional categories that some teams came up with. If you can identify an action based on your gallery walk that you can take to either enhance engaging or reduce challenges, one or the other, and then go ahead and enter any commitments that you're willing to make as a result of your insights. Just go ahead and enter those into slides 22 or 23. There's space for you to, as a result of your work today, go ahead and form some commitments that you might be willing to make for engaging. It'll take about 3 minutes. Strolling, thinking, committing. And so some may not be as familiar with Google Doc. If you, where we're looking at here on those Google slides, if you wanted to put a commitment in chat, someone can go put it on the Google slide for you. That would be just fine. If anyone sees any commitments coming up in chat, go ahead and transfer them over to the Google slide. Yeah, right. So the commitments are as a result of your group work and looking at what others have done around possibilities for engaging, Pamela, or reducing challenges. If you can form for yourself a commitment, if you were going to talk with this person, what commitment would you be walking in with? And that maybe I want to make sure that I'm listening well. I want to ask her about her hopes, and I'd like to share with her some resources that we have available and see what she thinks would work for her, whatever commitment you come up with. So we're hearing in chat, active listening, being more intentional with our presence. Other things we are seeing arrive on Google Doc, ask what she would like to gain from the program, validate her strengths, give control, make sure that she's aware that we're explicitly acknowledging her control. Opportunities to do this in our work, provide choices and support autonomy. Acknowledge trauma and frustration of having been in trouble for aggressive panhandling and other things. Acknowledge that we aren't there to force her in any way. The choices, emphasizing choice and autonomy, collaborating, making sure that person feels respected, dignity, the kinds of things that we can do to put ourselves on a wee bit better footing than Mark. Thank you. And Jane is noticing that offering interest in what she likes to read or explore on the internet. Yeah, absolutely, sure. Opening up that thing. The concern or the presenting problem is only just this one small piece of each of us. And when we only view people through that lens, this problem-focused lens, we're ignoring all other sources of self-exploration that are far more fruitful and more positive. We're certainly more than the problem that we carry into situations. It's only one brief chapter, and to assume that that's the whole story will probably be quite a disengaging experience. Okay. We have just a few more minutes left today. I'd like to ask you, if you would, I'm going to ask you to think about opening up chat and being ready to enter some responses. So if I sort of offer you a prompt coming from Pamela, what are some possible responses we could make to her? Yeah? So let's go through a couple of those together. So you're meeting Pamela and she says to you, boy, that colleague of yours was sure really pushy. I don't know if I want to do any of these things that you people are asking me to do. That colleague of yours was really pushy yesterday. I'm not sure I want to do any of these things that you people are asking me to do. You want to open up chat. What are some possible responses? Engaging responses. Beautiful. You didn't feel heard yesterday. Absolutely. You felt pressured. You felt pushed around. There's some other things we could say. All kinds of possibilities. I'm sorry your first experiences here weren't helpful. Any other things that you'd like to write? Ask her instead what she would like to do to discuss her needs. Sure. You felt pushed around and nobody wants to be forced. You were almost ready to leave and you wonder what would happen if you'd stayed. If you are wondering, you wonder what could happen if you stay. I work a little differently and I like to get to know what's important to you. Very nice, very nice. I apologize you were treated that way. You will not be forced to do anything here you don't want to do. And someone else was speaking, I'm sorry. All right, these are some fantastically helpful responses. Thank you. And so you're sure that you need to make up your own mind about how you want to be when you live. Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, yeah, it sounds like maybe you really are hearing me. What's it going to be like here if I decide to stay? I'm not sure I want to, but what's it going to be like here if I decide to stay? So Nicole is expressing interest and curiosity. Tell me what you would like to accomplish for your stay. Yeah. All right. Bobby says, I guess to some extent that depends on what you want to do. So we have a lot of options here. I could tell you about some of the things that we do and we can see which of these are interesting to you. Sure. Curious, what are some of the things that you wanted to do? Absolutely. Sure. I don't know. I just wanted a safe and dry place to stay. I've been on the streets so long. It's miserable. Regular meals, place to call my own. Sounds like you want more information about ways we could work together. Sure. Would you like me to start or would you like to start? Sure. So seeking to collaborate. Beautiful. I just wanted to get off the street. I'm tired of being cold and wet and pushed around. It's not safe out there, Right. Food security in a safe place, a dry place. Thank you. I hear you're looking for somewhere to call home. What can we do to support you? You're looking for a break from all that? Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you know how tough it is out there. But I'll tell you what, I am not about to take a shower. If you've ever been in jail, you'll know. It's just, sheriffs, they they throw you into the shower, they say terrible things to you. I mean, just, I don't know. Are you going to push me around like that? Not something you feel safe doing right now. All right. Does it feel safe to you? What might help you feel safe? Sure. Yeah, I guess feeling more safe. I mean, if you allowed me to just kind of take things a little bit more at my own pace, but that person yesterday, they didn't seem like they weren't willing to let me do things at my own pace. How are you going to make that happen for me? Might be more interested in showering and changing clothes if it felt safer for you. Absolutely. I tell you what, like, at least on the street, people leave me alone. I mean, actually, not being clean, not taking a shower. I don't know, that's how I've kept myself safe out here all this time. I'm worried about letting go of that. People might get into my space. It's a way of keeping people out there somehow. Right? So they were going too fast for you. You want to make your own decisions in your own time. Yeah, I don't want this thing that's helped me feel safe. I don't want you taking that away from me. And safety is important to you, absolutely. Yeah, I want to feel safe. I want to feel good about stuff. I mean, is this, I guess if I felt safe and I felt like these decisions were really mine, I might be willing to do some of the things that you have here. And so we're beautiful. You're noticing that that there are some things that she might want. You're respecting, you're not pushing, you're acknowledging the risk that she's taken and feeling that something different is scary. Inviting her to help decide what could feel safe, what feels protected, inviting her to come up with other options, strategies, skills, expertise that she has in her own life that would help her feel protected in this situation. Well, okay, you're a lot different than that counselor I met yesterday. I might be willing to work with you. If it's all right with you, I guess I might stay around and maybe we can figure out something that I can do here. It seems like there might be some ways I could get my needs met here. It seems like I might be able to work with you. But do we have to do a treatment plan today? Somebody said something yesterday about a treatment plan. Everybody was asking me, what's on your treatment plan? What's on your treatment plan? I don't know. Do we have to do one of those today? I look forward to working together. I guess I'm feeling something like, yeah, okay, great. I look forward to working with you. A treatment plan is part of our intake process. We can move at your own pace. Absolutely. It's a way to get to know you better. We can do that in other ways. Absolutely. It might be something that we want to address together down the line. It isn't something we have to do today. We could work on some of your priorities first. Yeah, exactly. Beautiful work. Well, thank you all for participating in our brief exchange with Pamela and coming up with some great ideas. And Bree's saying, looking forward to working with you. We can schedule another time once you feel more settled. Yeah, absolutely. Really. Yeah, we fired Bob. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you got Bob yesterday. We fired Bob. Bob doesn't work here anymore. Yeah, we're sorry about him. Yeah, we've been trying to train him for years now. Low empathy, toxic.
Sorry, I had to let you in on just a little snippet of my crazy sense of humor.
Love it. Thank you. We appreciate that. Absolutely. Yeah. And so sometimes I think about like some of the challenges that we may have engaging with someone. If they just come off with a disengaging experience with someone else in our orbit, at the periphery of the organization, a different counselor. All of that impacts maybe a negative, negative person at the reception area. These are just, these encounters can have an impact. Person has never met you and their discord is already up because of experiences that happen externally to that. But thank you all for being willing to engage in our activities today. What else before we close? We're just about at the end of our time together. And I think if we looked at, if we went to our trusty Google slide deck, we'll see a couple of things. And one of those is, if you wanted to jot down any other insights that you have come up with for yourself for today, we have another slide available to you, the quotable practitioner. If there's one that really speaks to you to hold in your heart and mind between now and the next time we talk, feel free to make note of that too. We have a closing chat storm to engage in just a moment, and then thinking about what our next steps might be. Anything before we do a bit of a closing and a little bit of a chat storm? Okay, chat storm, if you have not experienced one before, I'm going to invite you to open up chat, and I'm going to offer you a prompt and ask you to type some words in and wait for the count of 3. And on 3, we're going to ask you to hit send, enter, return, whatever it is, all at once. So this is all these beautiful insights raining down from the sky. Okay, so let's see. What's for you, your own top insight as a helper that you gained from your group work today? What top insight came up for you today as a result of your good work? One, 2, 3. Fantastic. Lovely, lovely insights. Absolutely. Okay. As a result of your good brainstorms and collaborating together today, what's one commitment you're willing to make for your practice as a helping professional? What one commitment will you make as a result of your experiences here today? 1, 2, 3. Beautiful commitments. Fantastic ways to engage and move ourselves forward as helpers. Appreciate all of the wonderful work and the heart set and mindset that each of you, just in the interactions that we've had today, that I can see that you bring to your work. It's been a great pleasure for me to spend this time with you today. Ken, what else before we close officially for today?
Just to express gratitude for all of you for being part of this, for participating actively, and I think also just for being willing to explore this thing we call the engaging process. I guess the only thing I would add is there is no end to the engaging process. It keeps on going throughout, and particularly with people who may be less easy to trust and that kind of thing. But it is such a critical piece. And I commented in my small group that engaging in the first 2 editions of the MI book wasn't mentioned. It wasn't really part of the picture. And it was added because it is so critical, and particularly when we're working with people with complex challenges in their lives and past experiences that haven't lent well to working collaboratively and in partnership with others. Mm-hmm. So wherever you are in your own work, I trust that you'll take a a closer and more serious look at the engaging process, and be mindful about how you do so. So thank you.
Thank you all so much. A pleasure to spend this time with you. And we hope that in part, sort of the level that we can each enter into, whether we have a great deal of experience in MI already or we're a little earlier in our learning process. It's in any feedback that any of you have about either our pace or any ideas for things that you liked and would like more of, or things that you didn't like and would like less of. I'm placing my email in chat. You're absolutely welcome to reach out to me, and or the last slide also has contact information for feedback that can be helpful in refining some of our next sessions. And if for the most part you're happy with it, we might do some focusing next time. Ken, what do you think?
Let's do that.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Best wishes, and looking forward to seeing you next month. Yay.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Ali.
Thank you all. Good to see you all.
Much. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, everyone. Be